All right, welcome to Out of the Blue from the Block M Podcast Network, part of the Fan First Sports Network, the podcast equivalent of a centaur. The top half is human elements presented in God's image. The back half is a goddamn horse. I am Jared Stormer of the Block M Podcast Network. With me, as always, is Andy Bailey, my hetero life mate. Andy Bailey, a Viagra pill with a face. How the hell you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. Great weekend. How you feeling?
A little rough. Didn't really go that hard. Just doing a lot this weekend, out and about, man about town. A lot of sports that were needed to be consumed, but went to a concert last night. But we're gonna get through it today, even if I'm not at 100%. I'm gonna give 100% effort on this pod.
This is like the last big hurrah of the football spring. It's like with the NFL draft, Michigan spring game. Now it's going to be kind of like a little slow for a while, but we got a ton of content planned and a great pod tonight, so we're good.
Absolutely great podcast tonight. We will talk NFL draft, some of our favorite fits, obviously talk about all the Wolverines that were taken, how we think they factor into that team's plan. And then we've got a spring game to discuss, sir. Both of us were able to watch yesterday finally. And some takeaways. As always, we'll overreact, we'll underreact, and we'll properly react to some of the things that we saw. Can't wait to speculate wildly on that. Before we get into that, we have got to talk on some of our promotions and socials as we have been doing of late. Please check out Out of the Blue Off Script, which we will be doing once the season comes every week, probably.
Yeah.
I would imagine we'll be doing a lot more of that. You can find that on our YouTube channel, which is Out of the Blue Sports. If you go follow and subscribe and send a proof of that either to me on Twitter or at our email address, which is ootbsports23@gmail, we will put you in a drawing, which will be happening in 2 weeks for a Michigan versus Everybody t-shirt. You can also retweet our new Twitter handle, which is OOTB_sports. Any of those, or our Instagram, Out of the Blue Sports, all one word. That was a mouthful, but yeah, help us out. Help some brothers out.
Yeah, spread the word. Get a great shirt. You can tag either of us. Tag the joint podcast account. Either way, get you entered.
Absolutely, 100%. And we will announce that winner 2 podcasts from now. All right, sir, let's get into it. We've got to start here, which has been the topic going around the internet the last couple days. 100 dudes versus a gorilla. Who you got?
I thought about this a lot. I think it really depends on the guys and how we're going to deploy them. Like if we have like a football team and we get like a mix of bodies in there, we need the bullies up front. We need some speed guys to get it done. We need people on the periphery. We need a true leader in there, probably in squadrons as well. I think we can break it up in 25 for the symmetry of it all. But I think we can get it done. I'm back in man in this one.
I'm back in the mankind in this one as well. Unsurprisingly, we completely agree, and we agree in strategy here. There's got to be waves, and this can't just be like any dude. You can't just grab 100 dudes that like work at Kinko's and be like, all right, get in there. It's going to be a bloodbath. Like we need to have some intention here. We need like John Jones, Aaron Donald. Like we need some dudes out there.
Max Bredesen.
Max Bredesen out there. We need some like absolute. Oh my God, who was the dude? Who was the former fullback, the one that had the mohawk? Ben. Oh, not.
Ben Gideon.
No, not Ben Gideon.
More
Ben recently,
Ben Mason. Sorry,
yeah, get Ben Mason out there. Yep. So I agree with you. I completely agree with your take. We need to be strategic. We need to come in waves.
Yeah, it's gonna be like the battle of the bastards. Like we got to set things up. We got to kind of collapse upon it. Get a little phalanx strategy going in there. But I think we've come as far enough in a society. Get Usain Bolt out there doing some things. Noah Lyles, mix it in some youth. We're getting it done. We're not going down to that damn dirty ape.
No, we need some strikers out there to go for the vital organs. I think would be key. Maybe a couple guys getting on its back, keeping him occupied with some type of chokehold, as you mentioned, flanking motions from either side. We've got this. Mankind is taking us out. I think we can do it with under 100.
Yeah, I think so too. And like, can we use weapons? Or do we have to use just like the canopy jungle around us?
No weapons. If we get jungle canopy, I think even that would be helpful. Some sticks are going to go a long way in this.
Yeah, I mean, we have to be able to use that to our advantage. Like our brain's our biggest weapon here.
Yeah, punching a gorilla is really not going to do much. You got to go for the organs and the eyes and stuff. Like,
delicate areas.
Delicate areas. Maybe if we're all growing out our fingernails and sharpening them to a point, that could help a little bit. Go after the eyes.
Kind of like that that woman in Gangs of New York. She has like the sharp teeth too.
Right, yeah, file down our teeth. It's a commitment, but look, we're fighting a gorilla. I need committed people on this squad.
Yeah, we're getting it done. We're winning this thing.
Okay, I like it. I'm glad we could litigate this. Let's get into some draft results, man. I know you were locked in all 3 rounds, all 3 days. I mean, you were deep into round 7, watching Dan Jackson tape, being like, oh, yeah, there's something there.
Dude, I've been in this. I don't know why I've been so invested in this draft more than any other. Started with the Michigan guys and started with a bunch of good content. I watched almost every pick in real time and just enjoyed it. Knew most of the players, really locked in. Had a great time, man. It was a really fun draft and a really weird draft in terms of what happened, the coverage surrounding it, and all the storylines that have come out from the weekend.
Strange draft indeed. I mean, when the Cleveland Browns take Dylan Gabriel and then come back the next round and take Shedeur Sanders along with 2 running backs, like that wasn't even the weirdest stuff that happened. There was a lot of like moving around the board, some serious overpays. Jacksonville Jaguars move up to number 2 to start the day, which was really exciting, and grab Travis Hunter, giving that franchise a boost. Let's start with the Wolverines, though, where Mason Graham goes first off the board. Cleveland, as we mentioned, trades back with Jacksonville to number 5, and then Cleveland gets a first-round pick next year. And Mason Graham, he's going to just fit hand in glove with the Jim Schwartz defense, dude.
It's so perfect. He's going to play the 3 tech outside shoulder of the guard. Myles Garrett's excited about this pick. He's just going to wreak havoc. Like, I just love when a player gets put in a situation like this early in a draft to succeed, because so often you see a guy go high just because they're talented and they're put in a bad situation. But Graham is in a perfect spot, and I'm really excited.
Yeah, I actually responded to a Cleveland fan who was like so mad about not taking Hunter. And I think this is the tax you got to pay for the Watson mistake. You need to like get out ahead on assets and like eat your vegetables for a year, become like a tough team with an identity, and then go get your quarterback next year. Because like you get one like a little bit closer to getting Watson off your books. Like you probably have to eat this season. We'll talk about their quarterback room a little bit later in this podcast. But this probably won't be a great Cleveland Browns team this year, but then next year you've got the Jaguars first rounder and your own first rounder. You could definitely go get a quarterback, and your defense is going to have a just nasty identity. It's going to be cold. It's going to suck to go play Cleveland and have Myles Garrett, Mason Graham. They drafted linebacker Schlesinger, who will go along with Owusu Koromoa there. Like there's some dudes on that defense in Cleveland.
Yeah, it was a very up and down draft for them. They also got Harold Fannin, which I love, from Bowling Green.
Like, right up the road in Bowling Green.
I like that this team is understanding that championship window is not even open right now. It's about getting back to being physical, running the football. Hence why you draft the 2 running backs. You're going to pound with those 2 running backs, with Judkins and Dylan Sampson, both downhill guys. Get back to that identity. And they said, yeah, address quarterback next year. It's a better quarterback class. You're going to have 2 first-round picks. You can even package one of those with some other picks and move up if you need to. There's a lot of things they can do. So I think they made the right strategy here in accepting that trade from Jacksonville.
I think so too. I know Browns fans were a little disappointed, but like who's throwing to Travis Hunter if you get him this year?
Yeah.
Like, like you've got other stuff you got to address. So Mason Graham, number 5 to Cleveland. Absolutely love it. I think he's going to be part of a top 10 defense this year. Colston Loveland is next off the board as the Bears grab him at number 10. Supposedly, I heard from multiple sources that this was the pick people were trying to move up for, and this was like the last prospect people considered to be elite, because there was a lot of calls after Loveland goes at 10 to the Bears. The calls kind of stop. And man, what a just absolute gauntlet the NFC North is going to be with some of these offenses.
I hate how well Ben Johnson's going to deploy Colston Loveland. He was so happy, and Ben Johnson was too. And I'm like, man, why is it the Bears? Why is it the Bears? He's putting together this offense. He's going to fit in perfectly next to Cole Kmet. They're going to complement each other perfectly in this system. And I'm sure Ben Johnson's going to have him throwing passes, taking reverses, doing all kinds of cool stuff. And we're going to sit there and try to enjoy it as much as we can, and forgetting the fact that it's the Bears.
Yeah, it's going to be a little like kissing your second cousin. It's like, well, I mean, it's neat, but I don't know that I should be enjoying this. Yeah, it's a bummer that it's the Bears, but I mean, good for him, because you're absolutely right. It is a good situation. Like for the player, this is going to be a great fantasy option. You mentioned just all the unique ways that Ben Johnson's going to deploy him, and there's no more excuses for Caleb Williams now. They have addressed the offensive line. They have addressed the wide receiver position again. I think they hit it twice, actually, if I'm not mistaken. Receivers were a hot ticket item in this draft.
They did it once, but they came back and got Kyle Monunga in round 7.
That's right, who I like.
I like
Kaminga did work
Kaminga.
for you in your fantasy. Yeah, they did, but I mean, they took, a wide receiver last year. They took, our boy from Washington
Oh
whose
yeah,
name
they
is
took
escaping
a
right
they
now.
took a Dunze last year.
Dunze, yep.
They lose Keenan Allen, but they still have DJ Moore. They double it got Luther Burden
Mhm,
this year. They addressed the
and now
offensive line
Loveland.
in free agency. Now Loveland, Monunga in the backfield, like Ben Johnson calling plays. Like a quarterback cannot be set up for more success.
No, I'm with you, man. So if it's not now, it's not going to happen for Caleb Williams, and I think they're going to be pretty good. And the NFC North just becomes by far the hardest division, and Loveland will be a big part of that. At pick number 13, KG goes next. 3 Wolverines in the top 15, which is just awesome. Thought we'd have more. We'll get to Will Johnson here in a minute, but 13 to Miami, which we got correct in our mock draft, actually, just at a different position. And then we also had Miami getting Kelvin Banks. Maybe that was a little optimistic for the Dolphins, but they did move back up and get an offensive guard later on. So we were kind of on the right track with Miami here. I like Kenneth Grant to Miami a lot. I really do. They needed to replace Christian Wilkins, and I think this is a great start.
Well, they spent 3 picks on defensive tackle. So they're committed to filling that gap. They drafted Kenneth Grant with pick 13, Jordan Phillips from Maryland in round 5, and then Zeke Biggers from Georgia Tech later on. Also, they sneaky got Ollie Gordon and Quinn Ewers in day 3.
I saw
Like,
the Ollie Gordon, Quinn Ewers stuff. I thought Quinn Ewers was better than a lot of quarterbacks that went ahead of him. I'll tell you that much.
I can't wait to see him work with Mike McDaniel. But back to Kenneth Grant. Maybe a little rich in terms of like development, where he is and all that, but you can't bet against the upside. And especially where the draft fell to them at this board. I think they wanted a high character guy above all. That's why Walter Nolan kind of fell a little bit like past them. So I think they like KG in the interview. I think he could be just unleashed there. And I like the fit.
Me as well, and obviously the Stephen Ross connection there. He's never shied away from Wolverines. Got Josh Preeb as well as an undrafted free agent down there in Miami. So we've seen this before. I think KG, you might be right that it might be a little slow going, but like with KG's just power, physicality, great personality, great locker room guy. Like by all accounts, this guy is going to show up and work hard. I'm just going to bet that works out. So excited also for my stepdad Paul, who now has a Wolverine to root for. They name all their animals, like the horses, the dog, everything. The cats get named after Dolphins. So now we get to add KG to the list, which is exciting.
It's perfect. I think his nickname is Bowser too, which is it's just even better.
Strong. We like this. Next up, Will Johnson, 2nd round, pick number 47 to the Arizona Cardinals. Just a tough drop for Will Johnson, 100% to do with the injury concerns to the knee, but goes to join Marvin Harrison, which will be fun to have those battles in practice again. Those have been some epic ones, and now they get to put some of that rivalry aside and try and turn around the Cardinals.
I love the fit. The Cardinals play a ton of zone. I believe they were like 27th in man-to-man last year, so that fits Will Johnson's skill set perfectly. They also drafted Denzel Burke, corner from Ohio State, to bring him in as well. And I think this is a young, talented secondary, man. They also have Max Melton from last year entering year 2. So building things the right way. I really like what the Cardinals did in this draft. And like, I know it wasn't the ideal weekend for Will, but I think it worked out for him.
Yeah, I think he's ending in a good spot. And there were some times last year where the Cardinals were like plucky, like they're not far off. I think like they're getting better. And if Will Johnson hits for him, I mean, he's the most talented pure cornerback in this class, I think. So it could be great for him. Josiah Stewart, 3rd round, pick number 90 to the Rams. This is going to be nice. I really like this. I was hoping that the Lions would grab Josiah Stewart in the 3rd round. We'll kind of talk about what the Lions did in the 3rd round. Thought it would have been an awesome fit. But he's going to this young defensive line that they're building out in the Rams. It's just going to add to it, man.
Oh, I love the idea of Braden Fisk, Jared Verse all on the same line. I got a little emotional on Josiah Stewart's call when he accepted from Sean McVay and Les Snead. They called him. He just basically couldn't even form a sentence. He was crying so hard and so happy. And then and McVay was just like, let's effing go. Like, I love the emotion, man. Can't wait to get you out here. I love Sean McVay, so that fired me up as well. I think this is a great spot for him. And let's not forget the Rams were 1 play away from beating the Super Bowl champions in Philadelphia in the playoffs. Like
this Rams team is good. Yeah, this Rams team's good, man. Yeah, and also they added Ty Hamilton, defensive tackle from Ohio State, Chris Paul Jr., who was projected to go way earlier than he did. Yeah, and then I'm really expecting Blake Corum to have a bigger role in this offense next year. And if it's a healthy Stafford, watch out for the Rams.
Yeah, they got a lot going on for him, man. So fascinated by them and another Wolverine to root for.
100%, man. Kalel Mullings goes 6th round, pick number 188 to Tennessee, following the Hassan Haskins. Haskins was like a 5th or a 6th rounder too, I think,
Something
to
like
Tennessee. But yeah, this room is wide open. So like he's got as good a shot as anyone there to be the dude that emerges. So I'm excited for that.
Current depth chart for the Titans running backs: Tony Pollard, Tyjae Spears, who I actually like, and Julius Chestnut.
Who, Julie? You just made that last one up.
He's gonna have a chance. Joins Jalen Harrell as well. So like that he has a buddy down there.
Yeah, absolutely. And they got Cam Ward, first overall pick, who I'm really rooting for Cam Ward because just some of the way that the Shedeur Sanders thing was
He
covered.
got no coverage this weekend.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, dude, Cam Ward is good. And I kind of like Cam Ward before he transferred. And the things that I didn't like about watching Miami were not Cam Ward related. I enjoyed watching Cam Ward this year. So
I loved
I'm
watching Cam Ward because he played like he was drunk sometimes. And it was fantastic.
It's tremendous. I hope he does that in the NFL.
And Titans had a really good draft, man. So I think they're doing it the right way. The new GM in there is making some moves. And I think Kalel Mullings is a great culture and personnel fit to get in the 6th round.
I'm with you, man. Also in the 6th round, Myles Hinton, pick number 191 to Philadelphia to join Trevor Keegan. You want to talk about a fit. I mean, this might be my favorite fit of the entire thing. I mean, it's probably Mason Graham just because of the impact that it's going to have immediately. But if Myles Hinton is going to work out, it's going to be in a place like Philadelphia.
He's going to Jeff Stoutland University. Like if Jeff Stoutland, the offensive line coach with Philadelphia, for people that don't know, is the best in the business, one of the best of all time. And he's going to take another Wolverine and work on their traits and potentially develop them into all pros because that's what he does. And like, that's why anytime he likes an offensive lineman, they pick him. And there's a chance they will be, just like Jordan Mailata was a 7th rounder rugby player who'd never played football. And now he's an all pro.
Yeah, man. Like this is taking the swing on the talent. Myles Hinton, a former 5-star, just big, athletic, has the pedigree. So I think that going to Philadelphia, working with Trevor Keegan, who I didn't see on the field a lot, but that was kind of always going to be the projection. It might take him a minute if Keegan's going to get there. But I like what they're doing, man. In Philadelphia, you want to talk about a good draft every freaking year. Howie Roseman, man, just plays this thing like a fiddle, and he did once again this year.
Even picks I don't like for Philly, we're going to talk about some of this later. It's very similar to Brad Holmes. Like, who am I to argue at this point? Like, your resume speaks for itself.
Yeah, and like I love their first 2 picks. Jihad Campbell at 31 and then Makuba from Texas at 64. That's an awesome start.
I like Ty Robinson, their 3rd pick. The Nebraska D tackle wore the single digits this past year, made him look even bigger in the middle. I like that. It was some of the later ones. I was like, yeah, could have done something else, but like that's besides the point. I mean, just every year, man, these guys are just maximizing value in very savvy ways.
Yeah, well, I like the back-to-back McCord Hinton. Like, I think McCord's the exact kind of guy you take a shot on to become a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
So I like what Philly did. No surprise there. That was it for the actual draft. And then undrafted free agents. Donovan Edwards goes to the Jets. Makari Page goes to the Giants. So those boys get to hang out in New York. That's nice. Preeb, as we mentioned earlier, goes to Miami. And William Wagner, the long snapper, goes to Cincinnati. Any one of those guys that you think might have a chance to stick?
I think Donovan will have a chance to stick. I think he will compete for a role in special teams and could become a nice 3rd down back due to his pass catching ability and ball security with the Jets. I worry about Makari because, I mean, I know the Giants just signed Javon Holland in the offseason. Like, he could become a special teams player there, but I just think his road's a little more difficult than Donovan Edwards.
I would agree with that. And Makari Page, I just don't know if he's going to have like the athleticism and the pop in order to stick for the Giants, but I hope so. I've always been a Makari Page guy. Yeah, we'll see what happens with Donovan Edwards. Jets are going to be an interesting team to watch. I think they've got some talent, and I'm very interested to see what Aaron Glenn can do with that roster.
Yeah, they have some adults in the room, which I like.
They do. Yeah, there's some real players, some real veterans there. Let's talk Detroit Lions draft here. They took a total of 4, 5, 6 players here. First round, Tyleik Williams, defensive lineman from Ohio State, which, you and I were kind of mad just because of where he's from, but I do trust the talent. Like, this dude's an athlete and at a position of need, and Holmes loved him. So who are we to argue with Brad Holmes at this point?
Yeah, it's a common theme throughout. They're drafting Lions. And I mean that like these
Mhm.
guys are all culture fits first and foremost. And some of them you could like argue value, but they know who they need and where they need them since the Jameer Gibbs. So I'm not going to go with like the player, don't like the pick argument because that collapsed on us 2 years ago.
It did. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I might still try and make it just because I don't mind being wrong. So like I'm happy to be wrong, but not for the second round pick where they grabbed Tate
No,
Ratledge. This is my favorite pick of the entire bunch.
hands down favorite pick. This guy is like Dan Campbell reborn. He is fantastic. He is nasty. He's going to be the future of the offensive line.
I want to write a sonnet about this guy's mullet. Like it
It's
is the most majestic thing on the planet Earth. Like I once saw a wolf like in nature and his mullet is more majestic than that wolf.
Tate Ratledge is not only first line fighting the gorilla, he is leading a unit himself. Like he is in
Yeah.
command.
Yeah, absolutely. Ratledge is the tip of the spear. And I love keeping your strengths your strengths. So as
Yep.
far as like draft strategy, I definitely wanted him to get a guard. I didn't know like how early they were going to get it. I like Gray Zabel a lot. But Tate Ratledge was my next guard. And to get him where you get him in the second round, I think was just home run, no brainer. This offensive line stays dominant and it's young. You know, it's led by Sewell and Ragnow and, you know, eventually Ratledge will be a part of it. Ratledge probably plays next year too, by the way.
I think so.
Yeah. Third round. This was the one that I didn't like, and not necessarily
God,
for the
why do we
player.
always agree? This is so annoying.
It is annoying. This is more just because they gave up 2 third rounds next year, and like I want Brad to have those that ammo where he nails it usually in the third round. So that's double-edged sword there in the sense that he probably knows what he's doing, probably got a guy who can contribute, but I didn't necessarily think of wide receiver as that big of a need.
I didn't think it was a need. And also, man, it's a big bodied slot guy. Like he's barely played on the out. I don't think he's really ever played on the outsides. Like, so he's a slot. He's going to play in there. He's a really good blocker, but I don't want a third round pick's best attribute to be his blocking, especially when Jalen Knoll was on the board from Iowa State, who I think is a complete stud and a just way better slot receiver. So this was the one that I was just kind of miffed by.
Yeah, Landon Jackson was also on the board, and
Yeah.
Landon Jackson gave Will Campbell some tough times in that game. So like I would have been interested in Landon Jackson. Obviously, Brad Holmes knows what he's doing. I'll reiterate that a million times. He came out and was like, guys, you keep saying like, are you upset you didn't get an edge? He's like, we got players that we like. That's all we're ever going to do. Like his evaluation of players is going to be different than how other people view their boards. But you're going to know really quickly if this was a good decision or not. Like because like receivers, you generally know early. Like if we don't see much of Tesla in the first 6 weeks, and his name's Tesla, which is hilarious. It's gonna be like, dude, this is a mess. And then if any of those edges that were right around there that came off the board right after that are hitting, that's gonna look a little rough.
Yeah, it's very this is the one I'm most concerned about. And it's kind of like a common theme too with a couple of these other guys. Worked his way up. I mean, he started at Division II Hillsdale College and then got to Arkansas. So maybe Holmes is still betting on there's another step for him to develop.
Yeah, and he's a big Lions fan, hometown kid, so I do like that aspect. He was super stoked when he got the call from Brad Holmes. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll know early on that one, and chances are you and I'll be proven wrong. You'll have to come eat another plate of crow, but
Serve it up.
Serve
it up hot.
Like my crow hot.
Hot.
6th round, Ahmed Hassanen.
Don't you skip Miles Frazier.
Oh, I apologize. I don't think I had Miles Frazier on here. So they took 7 players.
Yeah, Miles Frazier, 5th round guard out of LSU. And I think this is one of the steals of the draft. He's a 4-year starter at LSU.
I did not have that written in here. I don't know how I missed that, but thank you for catching me on that. Yeah, going back to the well of the offensive line is a great call. And I love what I looked up and down this roster. Ohio State, Georgia, Arkansas, LSU. Like real programs, like real tape to evaluate off of.
A lot of them. I like a lot about Frazier, man. I thought it was great value at this spot. I said 4-year starter at right guard. Also started 11 games at left tackle. So he has that positional versatility as well. And a lot of analysts are thinking like this is also a potential starter for the Lions in a year or two, and they got him in the 5th.
Incredible work there. And then it was Ahmad Hassanin from the edge rusher out of Boise. So they do take an edge rusher there. 7th round, they go Dominic Lovett, wide receiver out of UGA. So doubling down on wide receivers. And then Dan Jackson, safety out of Georgia as well. So 3 Georgia Bulldogs, 2 in the 7th round there, which was interesting. Almost all Big Ten or SEC outside of the edge from Boise, just like all big programs.
Edge from Boise, I love. I watched all of the combine because I'm me. And Hassanin was popping everywhere. He was the one that was like yelling at like the coaches there to get more out of him. Like he just wanted to go and take as many reps as possible. He only picked up football when he came over to the States from Egypt. Like he's only played for, I believe, a handful of years now, like very green in his development and has a lot of good traits you want. Like is coachable, wants to work hard, all those just like cliches he has in spades. And then on draft day, after he gets selected, turns around, proposes to his girlfriend. So had a great weekend for him and really excited about what he could bring to the edge room.
Man, have yourself a day. Yeah, I'm excited. And his call that he got was also super emotional. He's like, I'm ready to die on the field for you kind of thing. Gets you fired up. So
yeah,
as you mentioned right out of the gate, dude, just all Lions as far as just like culture fits, guys that are going to work their ass off, guys that are going to play gritty. And like the wide receiver thing too, I was thinking about this just in big picture. Like you are going to have to stay one of the best offenses in the league to compete in the NFC North. Like you're going to be in some shootouts. So I get like wanting to keep your offense as a focus. And I mean, this is a way more of an offensive focused draft than I would have thought for the Lions. But if you're going to be in those kind of shootouts, you want to keep your strengths. I get it. There was a lot of injuries last year, and that's why the defense looked the way it did. But I think most of us kind of assumed that they would really go heavy on defense in this draft, and that wasn't necessarily the case.
I think they're going to run the ball more this year. I think with Ben Johnson, the mad scientist out of there, sometimes get a little cutesy, fall in love with the pass. I think they're really going to get back to running the ball, keeping the defense off the field, and then trying to keep them fresh. I think you're going to see a lot more of that. Kind of what the Eagles did with Saquon Barkley this year. Like you're still going to have the pass, obviously. It's not going to be like 2024 Michigan, but it's going to be a lot more smash mouth, commitment to the trenches, and I think that's what this draft reflects.
Were you thinking that maybe they could have taken a swing on a quarterback in one of the late rounds, like Quinn Ewers or one of those guys?
Kind of like how Curtis Rourke fell to the 49ers late.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Something like that. Yeah.
I thought they could have in the 7th over Lovett, potentially the 5'10" receiver from Georgia. I thought that would have been the spot to do it. There's some guys on the board, like I'm very much in the Bill Walsh camp of draft a quarterback every other year. I think the Eagles draft one every year.
Yeah.
To get somebody in the building. So I thought they could have done that. But I mean, if they feel comfortable with where they're at right now, I mean, again, in Brad, we trust. He's proven us wrong at every stop.
Indeed. Yeah. Hopefully we can find a way to get some draft capital back next year where we did give up those 2 third-rounders. And I'm like, we'll see about that. But overall, like you said, and Brad, we trust this is a good haul for the Lions. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll do a little more draft talk, and then we will get into the spring game. We will be back right after this. All right, we are back. We are righteous men. April sports are very good. We're talking draft here. Wanted to touch on a few more things here. Wanted to touch some big picture as far as the draft. So what were some of your favorite fits or favorite overall picks that you really wanted to highlight?
So I really thought there was a theme this year in the first round where the sit-and pickers were rewarded. I'm talking about Michael Williams to the 49ers, Tyler Warren to the Colts, Jalen Walker to the Falcons, Zabel to the Seahawks, Barron to the Broncos, Hampton to the Chargers, Malachi Starks to the Ravens. All these teams just sat and the draft came to them. And I thought it was masterfully done because I know how jittery it can get, how jittery I get just watching it. And like how a lot of these GMs got to move up, got to move down to get their guys. And all these teams just sat, waited, let the board come to them. And I thought they made the right decision.
I like it. Yeah, there was a lot in there that I also enjoyed. I like, as we mentioned at the top, the Browns trading back and getting Mason Graham and then a first from the Jaguars, who not notorious for finishing in the top of the league next year. Then that draft goes off the goddamn rails. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. The YOLO Leroy Jenkins ass Atlanta Falcons move is something that fascinates me. It kept me up at night thinking about it because it is also something I would consider doing, doubling down on a position of need like that and getting potentially 2 of the top 5 edge rushers in Jalen Walker and James Pierce, but giving up a first to do it. It's like, that is what's kept me up at night is like, is that a wise move Probably not. Like I would think like conventional wisdom would say no. But if you hit on both of these guys, like all of a sudden Atlanta is by far the best in that division.
It helps a lot, man. Like I like the double down. I don't like all they gave up for it. I know the Rams are just happy to trade out of there. Rumor was the Rams were really eyeballing Jackson Dart there, and that's why the Giants had to get ahead of them to make the pick. That they were going to bring Dart in, and then I think Texans and the Rams both moved out, so that had some factors in there. But yeah, I like the double down. Don't like the capital giving up, but we'll see where it happens. I mean, the Falcons were the laughing stock of last year's draft, taking Penix, but things could be shaken out for them. Not just good this year, but potentially to overtake the Bucs this year and in the near future.
Yeah, we can't reward him too much because Penix wasn't the mistake. Cousins was the mistake.
Very true. He's still on the roster, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. They got to, and they're trying to trade him. Like, what are you going to give up for Kirk Cousins coming off? Isn't he coming off like an ACL or something too? Like,
well, it was the Achilles 2 years ago, but yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was Achilles. Yeah. And he's like nearing 40. I don't know about that. The Jaguars being really aggressive, going up and getting Travis Hunter. I like this for them, man. That's just a franchise that needed a pop. Also, they were really slow, and by getting him and Bashal Tutin out of Virginia Tech, I think they got a lot faster, which is good.
Yeah, because they had Brian Thomas who can fly, but like no one else.
Yeah, so that's it.
I like the move there. I mean, still had to give up a ton to move up 3 spots. I think they kind of got fleeced a little bit, but if you're in love with him, you're in love with him, and you take a swing on a guy that has a chance to be a special draft pick.
I'm with you, man. Jags will, if nothing else, be interesting to watch. Could be devastating too if you give up like the 8th pick to the Cleveland Browns and they have picks 2 and 8 next year, and they just control that draft, which could have some interesting players in it.
Yeah,
excited to start digging into next year's draft already because we're sickos. Omari and Hampton to the Los Angeles Chargers, round 1. Come on now. Harbaugh is going to love the hell out of this guy. Makes a ton of sense.
It's so good. I also love the Chargers' 2nd round pick, Trey Harris at pick 55. Like Trey Harris, if he hadn't been hurt, would have been my number 1 receiver on the board. I think he is like special. He can do a lot of things. Health is the concern, hence the fall. Very similar to Will Johnson. But man, if he can stay healthy, like it's really gonna help the offense next year, and Justin Herbert.
Yeah, man. And didn't they grab a tight end later on in that draft? I'm trying to pull it up. I got it right here. They got another wide receiver, Keandre Lambert-Smith out of Auburn. They took a defensive tackle, an edge. They do need to kind of start rebuilding that defense a little bit. And then, Oronde Gadsden, the Syracuse tight end. That's who they got. So that's an interesting.
He's pretty good.
Knowing Harbaugh. Yeah, knowing Harbaugh, that guy's got a good chance of hitting.
Yeah, he's very much in the receiver mold of wide receivers. I love that they got Kyle Kennard in the 4th round. The SEC Defensive Player of the Year is outstanding. Like the measurables aren't there, but like just trust the tape on him. Watch the LSU game last year, and you'll think Kyle Kennard's the best player in the draft.
I love this. Yeah. So the Chargers will be a factor again for sure. They've got a little bit of a mini rebuild going on, kind of doing it on the fly. When you have Justin Herbert, it's not obviously a full teardown. So be interested to see how good they look. I also like the Trey Harris pick. That's really, really solid. Oh man. So we are entering a golden era of secondaries. This might be my favorite thing on this whole list. Like it's reminding me of like some of those late 90s, early 2000s, like the Brian Dawkins, Lito Shepherd secondaries. Seattle, Denver, and Baltimore have elite secondaries right now. Like Seattle has Witherspoon, and then in this one they took Jahdae Barron, and then they also have who they have
Tariq Woolen.
Yeah, and didn't they get Emanwari too?
Yeah, they got Emanwari.
And they got Emanwari. That is loaded. You go to Denver, and it's Riley Moss, Pat Surtain. And then in this one, they took
Jahdae Barron.
They took Jahdae Barron. Sorry, I had that backwards. So that Denver secondary is all of a sudden mean on a defense that was already really good. And then freaking Baltimore, who just doesn't mess this up and always gets good players to go in the secondary. Now it's Malachi Starks and Kyle Hamilton back there. Whew.
Yeah.
Good luck, man. I love all 3 of these secondaries.
Yeah, and the Ravens needed it because they gave up a lot of big plays early last year when they and now they can kind of use Hamilton as like the queen on the chessboard, move him around a ton in this on this defense and open some things up. And Starks falling to them almost felt unfair. It was kind of like when Nolan Smith fell to the Eagles a few years ago. It's like how do we let this happen as a society? it feels unfair. A few other favorite picks of mine in this one before I get to the teams I liked overall. Mason Taylor, tight end at pick 42 to the Jets. Just thought was a great pick by them. Landon Jackson in the third to the Bills.
Loved it.
Donovan Ezeraku in the second and Shavon Ravel in the third to the Cowboys was just
good draft.
Marvelous work. I mean, I was really impressed with both those. Well, one of my guys, one of your guys, both fall into them in the middle rounds. Jalen Royals to the Chiefs in the fourth round, I thought was a good pick. Quincy Riley, the corner out of Louisville, to the Saints in the fourth. Jordan James in the fifth round of the 49ers is a sneaky one I really like. I loved Jordan James at Oregon last year. The running back just has a little juice to him. And then we talked about it earlier, touched on it. Quinn Ewers to the Dolphins in the seventh. You watch that offense, and you can easily imagine Quinn Ewers running it.
Yeah, a couple in there. I also enjoy the Dallas Cowboys. Like, say what you will about that organization, but they're not bad at drafting. I think they did really good job in this, going Tyler Booker, Izaraku, and then Shavon Ravel. Like, and then Jaden Blue too. Like,
yeah.
Running back they needed that as well, and they doubled down on running back and got Phil Maffa. Like, this is a strong draft from them. I really didn't have a ton of drafts that I like absolutely hated. Didn't love Cincinnati's going Shamar Stewart, Demetrius Knight there. There's a couple other guys I liked a little bit more. I like going on defense. They were kind of limited with their ammo there. I really like what the Bears did. Loveland, Burden, and then going back on the defense with Shamar Turner. That's really frustrating. And then Monungai in the seventh. Pretty strong from them. Don't love the pick of Tet McMillan.
No, I don't like the Panthers draft.
No, that one doesn't do it for me. I like Scorton, excuse me. I think I like him more than you. So that getting him at pick number 51, I like. But then after that, I'm like, I'm not the biggest Trevor Etienne guy. I'm not a big Lathan Ransom guy. So yeah, it drops a bit.
I really liked the Bills draft. They had Maxwell Hairston, TJ Sanders, Landon Jackson, and Deion Walker in the first four picks. I thought that was
defense the first five picks too. Yeah. They go defense again after that.
I thought that was really strong. I thought the Raiders had a really nice draft, going high character guys, kind of getting away from the old Raider mentality, going Ashton Genty, Jack Besh, Darian Porter, getting Charles Grant, the developmental tackle out of William & Mary, who I like, getting Tonka Hemingway in the fourth from South Carolina, did some good things there. Other draft, I like the 49ers, but I think my favorite draft, man, was honestly Houston, who had no first-round picks, and they came away with Jaden Higgins, Arianta Ursary, the tackle out of Minnesota, Jalen Knoll out of Iowa State, Woody Marks out of USC, corner out of USC, Jalen Smith, and then later on they got Jalen Reed, the safety out of Penn State. They just took a flyer on Mertz, Graham Mertz out of Florida, Keon Hamilton, defensive tackle out of Rutgers, and in round 7, got Lachey in round 7, who if he is healthy, what do we know about Iowa tight ends? Like,
yeah, man.
Always find a way, and to come away with that shows a team that wants to win right now, address the receiver need, and did all this without a first-round pick.
That's a great call out. Yeah, I totally forgot. I thought every team did have their first-round pick, but they traded back, and that's how they got you. Smart move. Yep. This was a great draft for it. So, yeah, a couple really good ones. I want to talk about the Browns a little bit here because of the Shedeur Sanders aspect of it. And if you were watching ESPN, that was all you heard about. The young kids called a crash out. That is exactly what happened to Mel Kiper. Like, they spent hours talking about Shedeur Sanders, who goes with the final pick. The Browns passed on him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, and then decided, like, all right, we'll take a flyer on this guy, Shedeur Sanders, who built himself a draft room that said legend. With the multi-millions that he's already made. Look, I think this is a pretty good draft for the Browns because of what they got the first 2 picks. Graham, Schlesinger, that's going to give this team an identity. Then you go Judkins over Travion Henderson, mind you. I like Fannin, but Dillon Gabriel should probably not have gone above Shedeur Sanders. I do think we were maybe losing the plot a little bit.
Dillon Gabriel, I mean, I like a lot about Dillon Gabriel, but that's a 7th-round quarterback. For being honest here, like the fact he was
also from Hawaii and he's going to play in Cleveland outdoors.
A top 100 pick. So yeah, that one really blew me away. You and I were texting during the draft, like, what's going on? Like, I was never the biggest Shedeur guy, but I think he was a middle round talent. And when Dillon Gabriel went over him, not to mention Jalen Milroe had already gone as well. I was like, okay, it's getting a little weird here. Something's happening.
Something is definitely happening. And there was just so much dialogue about it. Like, this is collusion by the NFL owners and what Kuiper was saying. I vehemently disagree with that. And as a CU alumni who watched a ton of those games this year, he's not that talented. And then you're taking on all of that headache, all of the circus that comes with drafting this guy. And like, when is Shedeur going to play? You bring the hassle of, Dion, who, wants what's best for his kids, but can be a little bit boisterous there. But then I feel qualified to say this. Shedeur Sanders is an asshole. Like, he just is, man. Like, he tanked all of his interviews, did like all of the interviews. Like, nobody said that he was a good interview. He trash talked teammates. He blamed the offensive line many times. When a player transferred out and said, man, they didn't even give me a chance, he's like, I don't even know this dude. Must not have been very good. I don't remember this guy. Just like these people that like, were trying to chase their dreams and got kicked off the Colorado team because he's bringing a Louis. And then you're just like rubbing salt in the wound on that. He's just like, he's kind of a dick, man. And if you're not that talented and you're a GM here, this is a job interview. And like, I can't think of any job in the world where you're just going to be like, yeah, he's a huge asshole, but he's okay at his job, so we're hiring him. Like, you'll put up with an asshole if he's damn good at his job. Shedeur Sanders is not damn good at his job. He's okay at his job.
Talent gets tolerance. That's how it works out. Like Caleb Williams painting his nails, skipping all his stuff, giving weird interviews, everything. It didn't matter because Caleb Williams is supremely talented. And that's what he is. And everyone knew it. Like, yeah, we're going to pay the price because that's what you do with a talent like this. Shedeur's just not that talented. He's an undersized quarterback who's only been coached by his dad at every level, who has an average arm, below average athleticism, and has struggled against the competition in the Big 12. Like Quincy Avery, the quarterback guru, who I believe coaches CJ Stroud and Jalen Hurts personally, went on I believe it was the Ryan Russillo podcast and said Shedeur's a 6th round talent if his last name's not Sanders. Like, that's the difference. And he's qualified to say this. Like, he trains this for a living. He owes these guys, and he pointed out a bunch of examples. But like, that's it. Like, it's a combination of things. And like, it's not just one thing or the other. It's not this, it's not that. Listen, an NFL team, if they could get a good quarterback and it was Lucifer himself, if he could throw a deep ball and not turn it over, they would draft him flat out, because that's what matters. And like, it's all this combined. Like, it's no collusion to keep him out. Like, if he's a winner and he's that talented, they're going to take him. It's not just the tape. It's not just the off the field stuff. But when you put it all together, the entire picture, it's just a big red flag. And I don't blame teams for passing on him.
Yeah, man. It's like, well, he's been arrested for human trafficking and some light treason. Like, well, how is he under pressure?
Exactly. Exactly. Like, you would get the times, but right now he's in the Tim Tebow zone of where you're getting a backup quarterback that attracts the media circus of a starting quarterback.
I'm with you. I'm with you on this one. I just don't think it's worth it. And, all right, man, let's get into the spring game here. You were able to watch it yesterday, correct?
Yeah, live.
Okay, outstanding.
Live, tape delay.
Tape live, a week late, not quite live. 17-0 for the blue team there. You want to kind of just like run through who was on some of the teams here?
Yeah, man. Talk about this. Overall, though, I want to make one point at the top about this game. It stood out to me from the very beginning. The vibes are high, but in a different way, and I like it. Like, last year felt like just like more of a celebration of the Natty. It felt like a continuation of the parade, came into the game, everybody's there, we're not really taking it serious. This felt like a practice, and I really appreciated that because it felt like the page had officially, completely, all the way been turned, gone, and we're completely locked in on 2025. I really appreciated that.
Yeah, I wonder if there was a little bit of something Bill Simmons always talks about like losing your hunger after a championship.
Yeah.
Now, it didn't seem that way with the way Mason Graham played. Like, that looked like a guy that was pretty hungry every single week. But maybe just like program wide, you get a little bit in there. So now couple seasons removed from that, you get some youth in there. People are really battling for some of these positions. And yeah, it really felt that way. It felt like people were playing like their job was on the line. And, we're not going to overreact too much. I didn't see anything in here that dramatically changed my opinion. There's a couple people that I'm a little higher on, maybe a couple people I'm a little more down on, but for the most part, going to keep an even keel and kind of basically end up exactly where we started.
The one thing I noticed in this game is just the sheer roster talent is really high on this team. Like, I was thinking, think about this roster compared to like 2016's roster. And like how much better this is. Like, that team was being quarterbacked by Wilton Speight handing off to Davion Smith. Like, where would Wilton Speight be? I mean, Did Spate beat out Davis? Probably, because Jaden
Yeah.
Davis's release takes longer than it did Shadur to get drafted, but he's not beating Underwood. And Davion Smith is what, RB3 at best, not counting the new
Before Ben
transfers that are
Hall.
coming
Yeah,
in.
yeah,
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 like
exactly. Yeah, exactly. No, that's a very good point.
like the overall roster talent is so high on this one. And in this game on the Mays team, Jaden Davis was at quarterback, Jordan Marshall at running back, Max Bredesen, Andrew Babalola, Gio El Hadi on the offensive line, receiver Samaj Morgan, Donovan McCulley. And we're highlighting the big ones here. We're not going to run through everybody. We're not running through the full 100. On defense here, edge, TJ Guy and Cam Brandt, Rayshon Benny in the middle, Barham at linebacker, Jair Hill, and Tevis Metcalf in the secondary.
Yeah, the Mays team looked outgunned in this one, but there were some dudes on defense. They had a pretty strong defensive unit, obviously low scoring there. But Mays looked really outmatched for a lot of this game. On the blue team, it started with Bryce Underwood. That was part of the reason they looked overmatched, because the quarterback play was just better for the blue team. Justice Haynes was the running back along with Micah Capana. We had Andrew Marsh and Freddie Moore at receiver, along with Marlon Klein, the standout of the game, Jalen Hoffman, who we'll talk about. On the O-line, they had Sprague, Crippen, and Link. Derek Moore, Trey Williams, Trey Pierce, Damon Payne were on their defensive line. Houseman, Shamari Earl, Zeke Berry, Jordan Young in the secondary there. So where do you want to start here, brother?
Let's not bury the lead. Let's start with the offense. We can talk about the quarterbacks here and take it a couple different directions. Firstly, this offense hasn't changed under Chip Lindsey. It's just advanced. Last year was kind of like looking at like a sixth grade curriculum, and now we're in college. Like there's a lot of versatility. There's a lot of advancement. I love Jake Butt pointed this out early on that like one team is running with 3 tight ends. The other one is running a spread look, and it's all the same offense. Like they're not losing their identity. And I think that's the reason they brought Chip Lindsey in, was to marry those modern concepts with the smash mentality of Sherrone Moore.
Yeah, this team's going to run the ball. You're absolutely right there, but it's going to be evolved. And now you have a quarterback that can make throws that you just couldn't make last year. Underwood, 12 of 26 of this game, 187 yards with 1 passing touchdown, 1 interception. And the interception was like a 100-mile-an-hour line-out fireball, but it was on 3rd and long, and it just flipped the field. So it wasn't even like an impactful interception, basically like a punt. Had some great moments in this, threw into double coverage on his first throw, and I was like, oh boy. But then after that, really settled in, and this ball just pops out of his hands, man. Like as soon as you watch like live reps, you're just like, oh, different. And like it was so fun to watch it. We've obviously done a lot of the tape, but this is the first time seeing it in a Michigan uniform, and it is the stuff of professional NFL quarterbacks. Like just the arm talent is immediate, man. We'll need to learn to layer his throws. Was like a little bit very young quarterback stuff in this one, where it felt like he was just rocketing it in all the time, kind of like how Gardner was a little early on in his development. But yeah, you have to love what you saw from Underwood.
Yeah, he has to learn to take singles and doubles. Like not just go for the home runs. This isn't high school. Like you're not just going to out athlete people and throw them open. And to that point, Wink Martindale is going to be the reason he starts week 1 if he does. Wink Martindale confused him a few times in this game, mixed up some looks, and I think it's perfect for his development. Like he almost threw a pick early on in this one because he thought he read man-to-man pre-snap, but it was clearly a zone at like post snap. And I think all these looks are just helping him so much because he's never seen it before. Like in high school, you're just mostly playing zone because man-to-man technique is so hard to teach at that level. So it's like all of this is different for him. He's learning. I really like his pocket awareness. That's something that jumped out to me. He climbs the pocket really well. And that's something that quarterbacks in this most recent draft still struggled with. Like Jackson Dart, that's why he went up so high, was because he steps up into the pocket frequently, has great awareness. And that's what Bryce Underwood has. And like is showing that at such a young age, stepping up and feeling pressure, not getting scared. And he only used his legs a couple times in this game. But once he uses those more, oh man, there's a lot there to like with what he can do. But I do like the fact that he's not a run first, settle later. He's looking to make the pass first. And if he has to run, okay, F it, we ball. I'll take it down the field.
Yeah, man, he's got some getaway sticks, and once he starts using them things, like it's going to be a very dangerous player. Very clearly in the lead for this quarterback job now, where I think earlier on from what we were hearing, we were probably leaning Mikey Keene. In fact, I know we were leaning Mikey Keene. I am now 100% on the idea, or 99% on the idea that it's Underwood that's going to start, especially since we didn't see Keene in this one. We did see Jaden Davis on the Mays team, who struggled a little bit, 6 of 17 for 74 194 yards, 2 interceptions, 4 sacks. It wasn't great on the Mays offensive line at times. Their tackle, I forget his name actually, was just getting smoked, getting worked. So it was tough for Jaden Davis. But man, I got to be honest with you, brother. I didn't love what I saw with the mechanics on the Jaden Davis throws. Like there was a couple that it was like, okay, you settled down. And like that looked a little bit more naturally to throw to O'Leary that should have been caught on the sideline. I was like, okay, you put that in the right spot. But then there's some where that arm motion, I don't know, man. It's like, it just like, it holds up. It holds back there for a second by his head. And I'm like, oh man, that thing is going to get ripped out by Myles Garrett if you or like by DJ Guy. Forget Myles Garrett.
His first interception was all mechanics related because it came out so slow, and it was able for Jeremiah Lowe to jump the route and take the ball away there. And that's what really cost him in this. And yeah, man, it's gotten better, but it's still bad. I don't think he's ever going to play or take a significant snap at Michigan. I feel really bad for him because he, by all indications, is a great kid. He's just kind of got passed up by generational talent. And in this game, he looked like the freshman while Underwood looked like the sophomore.
You're totally right on your last point there. It looked like Underwood had been doing this for a lot longer, and you forget like, no, Davis has been in basically the same system. There might be some language, some verbiage changes here and there and stuff, but like he should be ahead. And because of the mechanics, it just doesn't look like he is there. Also 4 sacks, some of that, like I said, on the tackle situation on that Mays offensive line. And it's hard when you split up your offensive line. The defense is going to be way ahead. So, let's talk some offensive line. What did you see from anybody out there? Was there anybody that stood out? I had a couple notes, but not a ton on the offensive line.
No, it's damn near impossible to take anything from the offensive line in this game when you're mix and match. You can look at one-on-ones, but then who's the one-on-one against? What's that matter? So you have to get really down into the nitty-gritty. So I wasn't trying to take too much away from that in this game.
No, I guess all I want to take away is that Andrew Babaloa was the first overall pick. Andy Babs goes first in this draft, which has to mean something, I think. And he certainly looks the part out there, if nothing else. Like that is a future NFL prospect, no doubt about it. Gio El-Hadi, I thought he was the only one that I was kind of like really keying in on. I'm like, all right, Gio, what's this going to look like on the other side? He opened up a couple nice holes. So outside of that, I didn't have much. The running backs in this one, Jordan Marshall didn't get a ton. I think that actually indicates exactly what you and I were indicating in our spring game draft. That's your running back number 1. Haynes, though, looked really good. He had 51 yards on 6 carries, including a really nice break to the outside. So that's a nice 1-2 punch.
It's great, man. And Marshall had one carry that I think was my favorite carry of the game. Zeke Berry was coming on like kind of like a cat corner blitz, and Marshall cut so fast, like in between him. He couldn't even touch him, and he still got some positive yards. Like most guys will just either run into the contact to get a little bit less or take a TFL. And just the suddenness of his game, man, always like takes me aback. Like I'm just like kind of blown away at how fast he moves, how twitchy he is at that size. And Haynes is twitchy in a different way. Like he kind of like, I think it's deceptive with like how bulky he is. Like he gets the full speed and you're like, oh God, everyone else is fading into the background. He's going faster than all of them. And I think that combination together is going to be great, man. I was watching this just like with a big grin on my face. Like these backs are going to tear it up this season. Like, I mean,
they are.
I could easily, like, I think the two of them together are going to combine for over 2,000.
I could easily see it, man. And Micah Kapana had some moments in there. Doesn't really have that grown man body yet to run through some contact. But I think if he were behind your first team offensive line, he sees the holes pretty well. So I'd be interested to see if he can get into the mix or if these transfers come in and kind of wrestle that third spot away from him, which is probably what I lean towards. But it's a good room, man. I think you got to feel good about this running back room. Like you were saying, it starts at the top with Marshall and Haynes. Pass catchers.
Bryson Cusdall, dude.
Cusdall. Oh, yeah. Cusdall as well, man.
He rusher in the game. Runs. Went for over a $120 in this one.
That's crazy. Yeah. Burying the lead with Cusdall.
Yeah. Got big True Wilson energy in this kid.
True Wilson. Great callback. That's why you're the GOAT. Yeah, absolutely. Whereas like if you had an injury or two, is it Cusdall getting in? He's the sneaky, like
the Isaiah Gash of the team. Like it could be a 4th down. You need Cusdall minutes.
Cuzdalman. It's a great last name too. I enjoy saying it. Yeah, good call. Thanks for calling me out on that. Buried the lead there. Pass catchers in this one. Jalen Hoffman leads all pass catchers. He had the long 88-yard touchdown, accounted for 148 of his yards. But this dude's going to be a factor this year. That was like the one takeaway that I'm like, okay, pencil this in. This is a real thing. I think Jalen Hoffman is a factor this year.
Can't believe I wimped out and didn't take him. Could have had the steal of Mr. Irrelevant at the end.
Steal of the draft.
I could feel you scowling at me though when I said Jalen Hoffman. You can expect Jalen Hoffman. Come on, Andy. Like you're digging deep here, reaching. Was not reaching. Could have had him.
Oh, you're blaming me for a thing I could have hypothetically done?
I'm blaming you for my cowardice, yes.
Yes. Well, I blame you for not letting me get a running back when I was thinking about this. As the host, the last thing you want when you're hosting is dead silence. So, like, I panic when it comes time to make a pick. I have a brain aneurysm. I'm like, we can't have dead silence. Like, that is death for a podcast.
Oh, that's hilarious. But yeah, man, Hoffman, a little Schoonmaker to his game. Like he looks good with the ball in his hands after the catch. We saw him physical last year. I forget what game it was. I remember I pointed him out in a film study because he had like a crucial block, and I'm like, Jalen Hoffman's getting minutes in this. Might have been USC. I was like, he's doing some things in this game. So to see the receiving end come to it, looks very comfortable out there too. I think that's what jumped out the most.
Yeah, he does, man. He looks like he belongs. And something that I've been lamenting is I think that we need another pass catching option at the tight end position because I'm not positive what Klein's going to be. You're a little higher on Hansen than I am, but I do like Hansen, but there's just a lot on his shoulders. So this is tremendous development. Like knowing we have Jalen Hoffman out there and be like, okay, this guy can go out there and make a catch for you. Like hopefully him and Bryce Underwood start to build that rapport. And then like, he's got his go-to guy right out of the gate. Still think Donovan McCulley, who first team all handsome, looks great in the number one, I believe is still your number one receiving option. I saw nothing that indicated anything else. Didn't see a lot of them in this game. Did see some attempts to Andy Marsh out there though. Did see a couple attempts to Marsh, which I was excited about.
Saw a lot of attempts to Channing Goodwin.
Channing Goodwin's a guy as well. Yep.
A lot of attempts to Goodwin. I'm going to like, just so we each have a guy in this, I'm kind of thinking, I wonder if this could happen again where Jamar Browder becomes the Nico Collins and Andrew Marsh is the DPJ.
Ooh, that's the dream. That's the dream scenario, man, where they both hit. Yeah,
they both hit. You can see the body types. There were a few moments with Browder in there that didn't connect, but you could see some of the down the field speed. And you're like, oh, that could be something. So keeping an eye on both of those guys. Man, I came away from this game really encouraged by the wide receivers as a whole.
Yeah, man. And this could be just like a dramatic overhaul. You were kind of talking about the talent difference. Like, look at the talent difference in the wide receiver room this year. Yeah. Like it's been overhauled. Now, a couple of those guys are freshmen. I'm not sure how much we could expect to contribute this year, but like you add Donovan McCulley and that just kind of pushes everybody else down a little bit. And it might not be the Kendrick Bells or the Freddie Moores. Like maybe we are looking at like Goodwin, Browder, or Marsh, and it's one of those guys that steps up. And this is like a position where you just got to go with like whoever can go make some big plays for you. So it's not going to matter how long you've been around, who can go make a play, who can get into a rhythm with Underwood.
I just think there's a lot of different body types. I think you always want your wide receiver room to look like a basketball team where you got bigs, you got wings, you got smalls, you got guys that can do a bunch of little bit of everything. And I think that's what this room has. Like you got the big possession receiver in McCulley. You got guys that can take the top off. You got guys that are dangerous in space, guys that can take a screen past 80 yards. And I think that's what they were missing last season.
I'm with you, man. I'm also higher on the receivers and just pass catchers in general than I was going into this. So probably the only takeaway that I'm really going to have. Like everything else feels like about par for the course for what I was thinking. Like you mentioned, you can't judge offensive line. Underwood looked like pretty much what I thought Underwood would look like. But the pass catchers, I think, go up one little tick in my mind. Let's go over to the defense, though, where Cole Sullivan led all tacklers. He had 7, including a sack, 2 tackles for loss. He looked outstanding in this one. Jeremiah Lowe with 2 interceptions in this one. So he starting to pop. So that's just another guy in the secondary that you feel pretty good about. This defense is deep. This defense is physical, and they are going to be a bear for anybody they come up against this season.
Brother, the word you're looking for is special. This defense is going to be special. They're playing faster right now than they did in September of last season. They are flying all around. There's depth at every level. They have Wink Martindale back, who has firm control of this unit Everyone believes in him. Rod Moore's not even out there. Whatever it is, Dom Nichols has it. And hot take, he's going to lead this team in sacks this year. That's what I'm getting after.
Ooh.
Even as a second team guy. I mean, 2 years ago, Josiah Stewart, 1 sack
Yeah.
off the lead as a rotation
We've
guy.
seen
Like it's in the mix. I think this is the best defense in college football. I mean, with what this defense did to close the season, they were top 10 in total yards last year and top 20 with not even a pulse on the offense. This offense is going to be drastically improved. Percentage-wise, they could be one of the most improved in the country. If they can just complete a damn forward pass, they will be. So, like, it's a low baseline to do that. Take some of the burden off them. They're deeper than they were last year. They're more experienced than they were last year. They're more comfortable. They're faster. Very high on this defense.
Let me just tell you, that sort of thing is my bag, baby. That is a tremendous amount of hype. I love that take. Absolutely love that take. They certainly could be. You mentioned it out the top, man. The Wink Martindale part is probably the biggest piece of it, because is it more talented than last year's defense? Maybe not at the top, but like just that control of the system. Like he knows exactly what these guys can bring and what kind of depth he has. And like the secondary, again, like when you break up the secondary, it's kind of like offensive line in that. It's like, all right, well, how does this all work together? Like who's our top 5 there? But the depth there is insane. The depth of this defensive line is insane. Like having Dom Nichols, Trey Pierce, both those transfers, like all as like bench rotational guys, like, dude. It is going to be a special defense. And like Oklahoma, that Oklahoma game is so saucy now that they've added quarterback. Dude, it might be, but I mean, they added Jaden Ott and John Mateer, the quarterback. Like, that's going to be a fun matchup early on. That offense versus our defense, plus, you know, their defense is respectable too, obviously being a Venables team. Ooh, I'm excited for that game.
Michigan defense has a star at every level. Rayshon Benny, take your pick of the linebackers at that level, and then Rod Moore at the secondary. I know officially how I want the secondary to start. I know the order, know where they're positioned. I want my corners to be Jair Hill and Zeke Berry. They both had the bottom grill during the game. I don't know what it means, but it's sick. It's awesome. That's your starting corners. I want Rod Moore to start at nickel. I want the brain of the defense to be that close. And I want the safeties to be Mason Curtis and Brandon Hillman. That's what I want.
I think that's it for me as well right now, too. Like the Mason Curtis one was kind of the last one I was jockeying back and forth a little bit on, but dude, Mason Curtis looks huge out there. Mason Curtis looks awesome. Yeah, I was just like, oh my God.
And Brandon Hillman was trying to kill people in this game. Like he would fly around, just wants to hit and that changes games, man. That changes things. That factor does. So much else to take away from the depth pieces here. You mentioned Cole Sullivan, secondary went deep. The Metcalf brothers, both of them flashed at moments. I talked about Dom Nichols. He was unblockable at times. His speed power mixture is fantastic. But brother, the first play of the game was a stunt involving Rayshon Benny and TJ Guy that went for a sack in less than 2 seconds on Underwood. And I was like, and then basically stopped playing after that. I was like, oh boy. So that's what we're doing. So last year we didn't see it till later in the year. They got back to those stunts and twists and games they played so much in 23. If they're getting back to that in the front line with that experience, good luck, man. Just good luck. Like that off the rip. I was like, okay, that's what we're in for. A slug. Okay, I got it.
Dude, you absolutely love to see it. And you mentioned it there, man, like the amount of football that all these guys have played. Like we're not relying on any freshmen up front. And like, even in the secondary, it's a good mix of youth and
everyone's played
leadership. Like, yeah, Zeke Berry's played a ton of football. Rod Moore, like, needs no introduction. Like even Jair Hill played a lot of football last year. So, I mean, everybody that we're going to be running out there, we are pretty familiar with. I love what you said about the secondary. Mason Curtis, Brandon Hillman is, I mean, that is so much fun. I don't think you understand how much that warms my heart. Just a giant linebacker looking dude, and then a guy that wants to assassinate everybody that comes across the middle of the field. Like you're right, it's going to change the way that receivers want to attack the middle of the field, because that's going to be a nightmare, especially with Rod Moore lurking around in there.
And then what you can do though is with those guys having repped at nickel, you can line Rod Moore up at nickel and somebody at safety, and they can switch positions post snap.
Oh yeah, just like never know where the pressure's coming from, never know who's dropping into coverage.
Jake Butt got confused several times on the call by Wink Martindale's defense. Be like, you got man to man down here, and it was like, nope, wrong coverage again, because that's what he always does post snap, and it confuses people.
Yeah, I cannot imagine trying to attack this Wolverine defense like with 110,000 people screaming down your
I
neck.
just remember me standing there like Jon Snow defending Wink Martindale last year, though. Just people flying at me like I'm not listening to this, not taking it. I will be right.
Yeah, well, we found out pretty quickly that you were. It was definitely not Wink Martindale's fault, like some of those early season struggles, and the defense was never the problem anyway. To be honest, let's be real here. No, I was there with you saying, guys, it's not the defense. Like I was just like I had a little bit more.
You were my Davos Seaworth. You were back at the line. You're like, I got to get into this fight. You know what? Let's get in there.
You've never honored me more. She's a big woman, warm. What else, brother? I'm still remain high on Andy Marsh. Continue to like I see there. Shamari Earls, the other guy that I want to be right about. Pretty egregious pass interference, but moves well out there. Like really athletic. Like looks like he belongs on a football field, but probably next year, not this year.
I wrote about 4 hot takes after this game. Called myself Take LaMotta because it was kind of like Raging Bull style. Really, I'm just leaning into this gimmick at this point. And I wanted one to really close the show with in the article when I was writing. And I was like, I need to get spicy. Like, this is not time for tepid. I don't want to, none of that. I said, Shamari Earls is going to be better than Will Johnson. And I said that. And
beat it.
I'm not just like dunking on Will because of the fall or anything like that. I think he has man-to-man skills that Will didn't have. I think he's going to be faster. And I think he has the body type to hold up better than Will did. Now, can he be as good as zone as Will? I don't think so. I don't think he can get to that level, but can his man-to-man be high enough that his overall play is better than Will? That's on the table. Couple that with the speed, the strength, and size already has a grown man's body at 18. Like he
looks like he belongs.
Looks like he belongs. And he's got longer limbs than Will. Will had short arms. Like, so he's kind of built more to play corner out there at the position. So just went ahead and doubled down on it. Got to be better than Will Johnson.
You may as well feed this to me with a shovel. I am all the way in on this. Yeah, we'll see if the ball skills get to Will Johnson. Will could really make a play on the ball.
Instincts were crazy.
Yeah. So I think that's really the only thing stopping him. And man, this secondary all of a sudden, like how good could it potentially be this year? Like you're saying number 1 defense. So obviously you're high on this secondary. We are defensive line. We know Ernest Hausman, Barham. We got it. Bowles. I don't think we saw Bowles in this game much, did we?
No, he's hurt right now.
That's right. Yeah, he's hurt, but like we're good at linebacker. Secondary was the last question. And I think you and I are just coming away bullish. So that might be the other takeaway. Pass catchers are in a better place, and secondary I'm resolute about now.
We talked about it with the Scholars, man. Like last year, Michigan was 5th in rushing defense, and I believe in the 60s in passing defense. Well, that's going up this year. That's going up because a lot of those numbers were inflated from early season woes, like the Texas game. You see it against Illinois, Washington, all the double moves that Jair Hill was getting beat on. Not anymore. Like that, those days are behind us. Again, I love the Wink Martindale anecdote. Like, how did you get Jair more comfortable? It's like, well, we just threw a double move at him constantly at practice till he got better. Like, that's how you do it. He just kind of took it like a Jokic answer. Like, well, we just did it and he got better at it. It's like,
I just throw a ball in basket.
Exactly. That's how it was. I'm extremely high on this defense. Like I said, star at every level. The depth is there. I don't want to think about 26. Because a lot of these guys are leaving and that frightens me. But man, this defense has a very high ceiling. Now it kind of comes down to what the offense can do to support it and balance it out.
Yeah. That's kind of what we're waiting to hear is like who has asserted themselves on the offensive line. There's a couple people I can tell you did not assert themselves well on the offensive line. But yeah, that's the last piece, man. That's the last piece we're waiting for. And when does the last transfer window close? Like,
we're closed, baby. We're done.
Yeah, we're closed. But you could still get somebody right before the season starts, but you don't want that.
You just had to be in the portal by last Friday, I believe. So if you enter the portal, you can do whatever you want. Or if a coach leaves or something, that could reopen like their portal eligibility, things like that.
Yeah,
I still think they're going to add a couple. I mean, you got to think like Amir Hall, Josh Wallace were both added late after the spring window and came in and had an impact. I'm not talking about a corner in this instance, but you could see them look for somebody.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily want to bring in a starting center that late into the process, but Cash Cleveland from my alumni CU, one of the best freshman guards, centers in the nation, predicted to Texas Tech, but that's what I was hoping. I was like, go get that guy, man. Like bring in somebody to push these other dudes and like
Yeah.
let's solidify this offensive line because then this team's ready to go, man. Then all you're worried about is like freshman mistakes from Bryce Underwood.
Yeah, and I think we're just going to have to live with that this year. It's just going to be the way it is. There's going to be a few more interceptions, but I think the offense is going to do a nice job of, again, running the ball first and foremost and having those two backs to do it. Chip Lindsey showed last year he can do inventive ways to get his backs the ball, even out of the backfield, just to make easy throws, create rhythm, and do things, even when you're short staffed, because they were on their third string quarterback last year, and everyone's keying on Hampton. He still had 1,600 yards. Like, speaks to the player, but also speaks to the system to set him up.
Yeah, these running backs are going to love this. Like, I have to imagine Jordan Marshall, when he started digging in, was like, oh, this is what we're going to be doing with Chip Lindsey. Got it.
Yeah, and then the cosign from Drake May to say Chip Lindsey got me ready for the NFL. He's the reason I did it. That has to feel good for the quarterbacks.
Yeah. I'm excited about Chip Lindsey, excited about the defense, pass catchers improving, obviously excited about Bryce Underwood, Wink Martindale. There's just a lot to like about this team. So I'm with you, man. It's going to be a dramatically better team. I mean, we've obviously talked about the schedule, and we'll continue to do that as we get a little bit closer, start breaking it down with some nuance, but easier schedule plus all that stuff that we just listed, like there's reason for optimism.
Yeah. The one thing I came away from thinking like long-term big picture was I'm lowering my expectations a little bit for September, but I'm raising them for November.
I love
That's how I see this team. Like I could see some early struggles. I could see a road loss.
Oklahoma's tough, man.
I could see Oklahoma or Nebraska being a road loss, especially with a freshman quarterback. Like you're going to have those mistakes, but if you stick with them, like the defense will keep you in all these games, give you a chance. I feel like this team could really hit their stride late in the year and be one of the most dangerous teams in the country.
Yeah. I mean, the Oklahoma game, they're not as good as that Texas team that we had early on, but I totally agree with your, like, it's going to take a minute.
Yeah.
Like we're still figuring stuff out on the offensive line. We got a freshman quarterback. Like we kind of are starting to like the pass catchers a little bit, but like, let's not sit here and pretend that we're like 10 toes down on our pass catchers.
No.
So I'm with you. I think it takes a minute to get going, but once this thing gets humming, like it's just going to be so hard to score that we're not going to have to do much on the other side of the ball.
Yeah. And I think like, even if like worst case scenario, this team is 2-2 entering October, I still think 10-2 is firmly on the table.
100%. They go on a run, and let's not forget Ohio State's at home, and they're doing all sorts of rebuilding. So, I mean, we should be the deeper team. We should be the more experienced team. Yeah.
The only road games after September are USC, Michigan State, Northwestern, and Maryland. So like Michigan State, like could be a raucous environment for a freshman quarterback, but the defense is going to travel. You know what you're getting there. And the rest of those don't even have a home field to speak of.
Exactly, man. Yeah. And Lansing is not going to really worry me that much. We've seen it done many, many times now, like going into East Lansing, taking a win. And the gap between Michigan and Michigan State is as wide as it's ever been right now, in my opinion.
Well, I don't know if it's as wide as it was in 2023, but let's hope so.
Yeah. Well, score wise, it won't be. I'm kind of like just saying like right now, this era.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
So I mean, I'm like including the 2023 era, not exactly.
Yeah, I get you. Like really post D'Antonio, like
post D'Antonio, we are going different directions. Is more.
The Mel Tucker rise was there for a minute. I don't know what's going on with that case. I haven't checked in on lawreview.com in a while, but
don't Google Mel Tucker rise.
Not doing that. I'm not doing that anytime soon. But yeah, interesting. I mean, I do like Jonathan Smith. You and I talked about that last year, so we'll see what happens. See what happens with him this year. But I mean, Big Ten, first time we've had back-to-back different national champions in our conference since like 80 some years. Like,
might have another one, man. It's going to be a deep league again. I think it was probably deeper last year because I think Oregon, Ohio State go back a little bit.
Yeah, I think so.
Texas,
I mean,
Texas maybe goes up a notch.
Yeah, Oregon's defense is going to be good again. Just they got Dylan Tinneman, and they got that. I think was it Ryan Holland? I think is the Northwestern transfer I liked, but they'll be okay. Just offensively with Dante Moore, I have so many questions.
Exactly, I don't see him being better.
No, I don't see him. No. This is definitely the regression year after the 2 up years. I think.
I'm with you, man. All right, brother, that's going to do it for us tonight. Gave you a crisp 90 minutes on this Monday. Y'all enjoy yourself. And please help us out with the socials any way you can. Definitely want folks to get to the YouTube. That's probably the most important one. Out of the Blue Sports on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel. If we see you on there, we'll enter you into promotions. We'll be doing several more, starting out with a Michigan versus everybody t-shirt. Follow us on Instagram, Out of the Blue Sports, on Twitter, OOTB_sports. I'm Jared. That's Andy. This is Out of the Blue. We'd like to thank you for tuning in and remind you that wherever you go, go blue.